is BBC.
Radio Oxford.
The Oxford.
Right then, it's Oxford time. As you may be aware, my Oxford is somebody from Oxfordshire who is an expert in their field, whether it be a career or even a hobby. Now, my Oxford tonight, how about this for a weird, cool fact? The bacteria in your gut could be linked to your personality. More excitingly, this is a discovery that has been made in Oxford by my Oxford today. Her name is Dr. Katrina Johnson. She's here in the studio to tell us a little bit more. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And thanks for being an Oxford. This sounds fascinating. So basically, something in your stomach could decipher your personality.
Yeah, so, we have all these phrases in our language, like that gut feeling. And actually, science in the past decade has shown that our gut bacteria can affect our brain and behaviour. So things like stress, anxiety, depression, and social behaviour. So this was why I was interested to look in humans and see whether there are links between the types of bacteria living in our gut, known as the gut microbiome, and our personality traits.
It is quite interesting to know this sort of stuff. So are we saying that one particular bacteria, if we have too much of it, it could lead us to depression, or if we have another bacteria, it could lead us to be a much happier person?
Yeah, so ultimately, that's what we're trying to find out. I mean, it's not so easy at the moment to say, if you've got this bacteria, it might cause this, because things like depression are caused by so many different factors. Mm-hmm. But one thing that might affect our brain and how we feel is our gut, and we are now understanding some of the mechanisms. And in fact, one of my findings was that sociable people actually tend to have a high abundance of certain types of bacteria in their gut. And this is particularly interesting because previous studies had found that autistic people had low abundances of these bacteria. So there's a lot of research at the moment looking at whether gut bacteria can affect kind of almost like autistic traits and how sociable we are. Wow.
I mean, how do you even begin to find out something like this? I mean, where did you start on this little journey?
Yeah, so I looked over 600 participants and basically analysed all the types of bacteria in their gut and also the diversity of their bacterial community. And then I combined this with personality questionnaires and other data on their diet, health, lifestyle, socio-demographics to build up a big picture and lots of stats in between.
I mean, this might be a really random, weird question, but how do you kind of find out what bacteria is in someone's gut? I mean, is that a horrible answer to come from that?
A little bit. So basically you take a stool sample and then you extract the DNA from the bacteria. And there's an online database with DNA from any bacteria that's ever been collected in the past. So you basically take the bacterial DNA and you try and identify which bacteria it is by matching the DNA sequence to a database. And that's how it works, really. And then from that, you're able to identify what types of bacteria somebody has.
It's incredible and fascinating the way this is going. I mean, where do you think this could lead with the right answers?
So one of the main aims of the research at the moment is perhaps in the future we might be able to find adjunctive therapies for things like, depression or improving people's mood. I found some other interesting results as well in terms of people's diversity of their microbiome. So I actually found that people that tend to have larger social networks tend to have a more diverse gut microbiome. And so a diverse microbiome is often associated with kind of better gut health and general health, whereas people that were stressed and anxious tended to have a reduced diversity. So, it does also suggest that the ways we behave and our mood can kind of, negatively, affect our gut possibly, especially in the world now. We're stressed and rushing everywhere all the time. And I think that gut health is perhaps something that is overlooked, although it's coming more into the forefront now of research. And I also think the public's awareness as well.
I guess it's your job, correct me if I'm wrong, to prove now which way it works. So does somebody have X amount of a certain bacteria in their stomach because they're a happy person, or are they a happy person because they have X amount of good bacteria in their stomach?
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the big questions because we know that the link is two-way. So there are some interesting results involving actually fecal transplants. So at the moment this is largely being done in animals, but it does suggest that if you take basically all the gut bacteria from one kind of strain of mice that tends to be very kind of bold and exploratory and transplant transplant it into a mouse that tends to be more like shy, actually some of the behavioural traits are transferred a bit to the other animal. Yes,
Wow.
a little bit. So we do know there's some evidence that gut microbes can affect behavioural traits. It's just how much and whether in humans it has how much of an effect it has, basically.
So obviously you're here as an expert, so explain a little bit about what you do. I mean, this is probably not the only thing you're researching, is it? I mean, what's your day-to-day job as such? What's your field of everything?
Yeah, so this was a big project that was actually linked to my PhD. I'm also doing some other research at the moment that was looking at a wild population of monkeys and actually looking at their behaviour and how they interact, and combining that with looking at the types of bacteria that live in their gut, so trying to understand whether it's not just in humans but other populations of animals as well. I also on the side do quite a lot of science communication like this, so I like talking about my work, and I did a TED talk all on this area, maybe thinking of writing a popular science book as well.
Wow, you are busy,
Yeah,
to say the least.
that.
And it sounds absolutely fascinating. I'd love to get you in a little bit further forward when you get some more of the answers, because, you know, to know that something that's in your stomach could actually make you who you are is quite impressive to find out. So hopefully we can get you in again. And thank you so much for coming in and being tonight's Oxpert. Really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
BBC Radio Oxford's Bulletin Board.